Hi everyone. Today I am going to make an Instant Pot cheesy taco pasta. So we'll go ahead and get started. But real quick before we do, I just wanted to show you a little trick that I use. I noticed that my Instant Pot has some little flecks of, I don't know, salt or whatever down in there and food bits. So an easy way to clean that is just to get one of these foam brushes, and I just get it a little bit damp and I just stuff it in there and I just roll it around and ew and get that stuff out of there, and it works really well. I used to shove a paper towel down in there, but this is a lot easier and you can wash this. Oof, that's kind of embarrassing. There was more in there than I thought, but it's clean now. Okay, so we'll get on with the pasta. So I've turned on the pot to the saute mode just by pressing that button there, and I'm just waiting for the display to read hot. I always do that and wait for it to say hot before I put my oil in. So we'll just wait for it to say hot and we'll go from there. Okay, our display is reading hot now. So I just have a little bit of olive oil, maybe about a tablespoon. And I'm using olive oil because normally one might use ground beef for this recipe, and I am actually going to use ground turkey today. That's what I had on hand, but you can use either one. So I just kind of roll that around in there a little bit. Since it's kind of domed in the middle, you can see how the oil goes off to the sides. So I usually just do this just to kind of give it a coating. And then I have 1 pound of ground turkey, and I'm just going to toss that in there and start sauteing that and getting it brown. Okay, we're about halfway through the browning of the turkey meat right now, and this is the point where I like to add in some seasoning. And what we're going to do for this one is 2 tablespoons of taco seasoning, and just sprinkle it on in there, and then you'll just stir it in. This is also equivalent to one of those packets of taco seasoning that you can get at the grocery store. I make my own, and on the website there will be a link to my homemade taco seasoning recipe, but you could definitely just use one of those packets, which is also right about 2 tablespoons. And then we'll just finish browning this up. Okay, so that turkey meat is browned up nicely. And then the next thing we want to do is we're going to add some prepared salsa. If you make your own, that's great. I just have a 16-ounce container here, and you can see this particular kind is pretty watery. So I might cut back on the broth a little bit. This is the first time I've used this brand. I usually use the other kind that's a little bit thicker, that comes in the jar, and the kind I'm using today is what you find in the refrigerator section. So I just really love this salsa in general. It's my favorite, so I just thought I would try it. Okay, then I'm going to today use shells, and sometimes I use the rotini, which is the little spiral, pasta. And the rotini, the box of it comes as 16 ounces or 1 pound. The shells, for some reason, come as 12 ounces, and I don't know if that's just because the shells take up a lot of volume. I'm not really sure. So I'm going to do my recipe as though it's 1 pound. Okay? And now I want to add some broth. So I'm putting in 3 cups of chicken broth. You could use beef broth. You could use vegetable broth. You could use any kind of broth you want. Okay. I'm just going to give that a stir and just see where I'm at as far as the liquid goes. If the pasta isn't covered enough, I will add that 4th cup. And the reason I say that is normally when I make something like macaroni and cheese, and I use 1 pound of pasta, I will normally use 4 pounds, or excuse me, not 4 pounds, 4 cups of broth or water in my mac and cheese. And then after that, when it's done, I will see how much milk I need to add. Usually it's only about a half a cup or so. So you can see that the noodles aren't quite, or the pasta isn't quite covered yet. So I'm going to go ahead and add just 1 more cup. Like I said, I wasn't sure how watery that broth, or I'm sorry, how watery that salsa was going to be. Here we go. So I'm going to just pour in that 4th cup. And see, sometimes I do this on the fly. That's the fun of cooking, though, is as long as you're prepared, you can kind of figure out what you need to do. And see, that to me looks like a much better ratio. The pasta's covered. Smells really good too with that salsa and that taco seasoning. Okay, and like I said, this is a cheesy taco pasta, but just like with mac and cheese in the Instant Pot, we're not going to add that until the end. And we're going to go ahead now and put the lid on this thing and get it cooking. And as usual, I'll always clean off any little bits that get on the rim of the pan, just because we want a nice good seal on this. And then set it to sealing. And then at this point you can cancel your saute mode, and we're going to pressure cook this. I'm just going to use manual, and I'm going to use 5 minutes. If you have one of the newer Instant Pots, it may not say manual, it may say pressure cook. So you'll have to look at your instructions to figure out, you know, which setting to use. But it is high pressure and it's 5 minutes. So whatever you need to do to get there, okay? And after this, we're going to do a quick release. And a quick release just means that as soon as the cooking cycle is done, we go ahead and turn the knob up here to release all the steam quickly or manually. And we'll come back and I'll show you that when it is done. Our cooking time has ended, and I'm going to go ahead now and just turn off the pot and start doing our quick release. So because this hasn't had any time to release pressure naturally, there's going to be quite a bit in here. And I usually just use my little spoon here and I start doing it kind of gradually to make sure that there's nothing that's going to spew out of here. It should be okay, but I'm just going to take it kind of easy. And so I'll just do like that a few times just to let a lot of the pressure out, and then I'll pull it all the way over and just let it go. And if you just from the beginning pull it over and let it go, no big deal. I've had things shoot out of here a couple of times, and when it sprays all over the kitchen, it's really a mess to clean up. So I just usually err on the side of caution at first. So I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. All of this pressure is out and the pin has dropped, so it's now safe to open the pot. And I always do so facing it away from me. And I know I say this every time, but since most of my videos are geared towards newer users, I hope you don't mind the repetition. Okay, so just give it a little stir here. This smells so good. And the pasta looks like it's done just perfectly. So 5 minutes is definitely a good call, even for the shells. Okay, and so the last ingredient I have is some shredded cheese. Now you can use any kind of cheese you want. Usually when I do Mexican, I like to add some Monterey Jack, which is on the right, and sharp cheddar for that wonderful flavor, which is what I have on the left. And I have 1 cup of each going in. And just give that a nice stir, and it thickens it up, but not too much. As it sits and cools, it'll thicken up a little bit more on its own. Okay. It may not be the most pretty pasta dish you're ever going to eat, but it's really tasty. And you can put toppings on this just like you would chili. You could put some chopped onions, cilantro, crunched up tortilla chips, avocado for sure, anything like that. So, you know, serve it alongside a salad if you need that little shot of healthiness, and you're good to go. Thank you very much for watching the video, and the link to the recipe is down below. And I hope you enjoyed this video for the Instant Pot Cheesy Taco Pasta. Have a great day!